All right, let's dive into a data-driven forecast of our very, very near future. We're going to go year by year to see how medicine is set to completely transform not just our health, but, the actual definition of what it even means to be human.
For basically all of history, medicine has been about one thing: repair. But we're on the edge of this massive shift. That collision of biology, tech, and money? It's not just about fixing what's broken anymore. It's about optimization, modification, and software updates for your body.
And that leads us to the big question we're going to be exploring here today. What happens when the goal is no longer just to get you back to normal, but to make you better than normal? Our timeline? Well, it starts right now.
So, our journey kicks off in a place that probably feels pretty familiar. It's like a logical next step from the science you hear about today. But I'd say don't get too comfortable, because the pace is about to pick up a lot.
Okay, check this out. By 2026, we're looking at personalized mRNA vaccines that can literally teach your immune system to hunt down and kill cancer. A year later, in 2027, commercial brain implants, think Neuralink, could let paralyzed patients control computers just by thinking. Then, by 2029, we'll see the first generation of bionic eyes, restoring sight right alongside the rise of mainstream biohacking, where perfectly healthy people start implanting sensors just to track their bodies in real time.
But, of course, with all this progress comes peril. And the first major crisis on our timeline isn't some new, scary virus. Nope, it's an old enemy: bacteria. By 2031, it's predicted that antibiotic resistance will get so bad that routine surgeries, even a simple cut, could become deadly again. This is going to force medicine to find totally new weapons, like AI-designed viruses that are programmed to hunt only bacteria.
And just as we're facing down this ancient threat, we gain an almost godlike power. The ability not just to treat symptoms, but to go in and rewrite our own biological source code.
The tool that makes all this possible is called CRISPR, and the best way to think about it is like a pair of molecular scissors. It lets scientists find a specific faulty gene in your DNA, snip it out, and then swap in a corrected version.
So, with this kind of technology, hereditary diseases like cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia could be, and I mean this quite literally, deleted from a person's DNA. We're not just treating the disease anymore, we are erasing the error in the code that caused it in the first place.
Okay, let's move on to the next phase, because this is where that clean line between healing and just upgrading yourself starts to get really, really blurry.
Now, every step forward casts a really dark shadow. So on one side of the coin, by 2036, we might have tiny nanobots just patrolling our bloodstream, turning cancer from a death sentence into a manageable chronic condition, kind of like diabetes. But on the other side, that same AI that helps us cure disease could be used by a terrorist to design a brand new, hyper-contagious plague from scratch.
The way bionics evolve seems to follow this pretty clear path. First, you restore. The early bionic eyes give basic, maybe black and white, sight back to the blind. Awesome. Then, you enhance. Newer models start offering features our biology just can't, like a built-in zoom lens or infrared vision. But that creates the final stage, risk. Because by 2041, with millions of us walking around with internet-connected devices inside our bodies, we've just created a massive new target for hackers.
And it gets chillingly specific. I mean, just imagine this. Your bionic eyes suddenly go dark, and they're replaced by a message demanding a crypto payment to turn them back on. This isn't science fiction, folks. It's the logical, terrifying endpoint of turning our bodies into hackable hardware.
All right, now we enter the truly speculative, reality-bending part of our timeline. This is where the technology starts to challenge our deepest ideas about life, identity, and humanity itself.
So get this, there's a 90% probability that by the year 2042, every single person in a developed nation will have a digital twin, a perfect virtual copy of their body. So before a doctor ever gives you a drug, they'll test it on your digital twin first to see exactly how your unique body will react. No more guesswork.
From that point on, it's like our biological parts just start getting systematically replaced. By 2043, the first babies are born in artificial wombs. A year later, universal synthetic blood completely ends donation shortages forever. Then, by 2050, the super wealthy achieve what's called longevity escape velocity, which is a fancy way of saying they become functionally immortal. And by 2055, our flawed biological heart is seen as a liability, and it gets replaced by a mechanical pump that's guaranteed for 150 years. This quote pretty much perfectly captures the next great leap. I mean, forget learning and the way we think about it. The goal becomes instantaneous knowledge.
And the tech to do it is called the exocortex. And look, this isn't just about controlling a mouse cursor with your mind. This is a chip that directly connects your brain to a cloud server. You think of a question, and the answer is just there, in your head. You could download a new language in a few hours. Your mind and the entire internet effectively become one.
But you can probably guess not everyone is going to want this future. A huge social backlash is predicted to pop up. These biological purists will reject all forms of augmentation, creating entire communities that are free of chips, synthetic organs, or gene editing. And this creates a fundamental split in humanity, no longer based on wealth or where you live, but on your very biology.
So as we get to the end of our timeline, you can see that this entire journey really boils down to a single, massive trade-off.
This ancient philosophical puzzle, the ship of Theseus, has never been more relevant. We just walk through a future where we replace our blood, our hearts, our eyes, and even parts of our brain. So, at what point are you no longer you?
Ultimately, what we're looking at is the chance to wipe out disease, reverse aging, and just completely transcend our biological limits. But the cost is making our very existence dependent on hardware and software that can be buggy, become obsolete, or be hacked. The question is no longer can we do this stuff, the question is should we?